Alright, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be jumping into a question that so many people ask me, and it's kind of crazy. Like, I guess people just kind of assume that I'm made of money, but the question everywhere I go with my cars, hey man, how do you get so much money? What do you do on your spare time to be able to get all of these cars? Now, I'm going to be going into some really good detail. I did this one time before, probably the most cringe video I ever made, and it was just me driving the 240 and talking about a Craigslist trade-up thing. It was horrible. You can totally go back and watch it if you want to, but it is really bad. Like, I hate watching it, and it's got quite a bit of views on it, and just kind of really felt like I should redo it and do it in a more professional sense, I guess you could say. But anyways, we're going to jump into this. I have been really wanting to do this and just kept getting discouraged. I don't know why, but we're going to do this now. Also, had some very good pushback on this new format. A lot of people really like it, so we're going to keep on doing it. It's really comfortable for me to do this, as I mean, it's really fun to make these as well. So we're going to jump into this, and we're going to be going through a bunch of pictures from the past with all of my cars and everything. There's going to be some cars that you guys never even knew I had, because I never made any videos on them, and this would have been way back when, way before I even ever started making videos in the first place. So now, way back in the day, this is how this all started, okay? So right out of high school and everything, I had a job at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Hard to believe, right? Everybody, seems like every car guy ends up working at AutoZone or any kind of parts specialist place like that. So first thing, I got myself into an Eagle Talon, and I'm not going to go into anything on that because that car didn't really start the process. I ended up selling it for like $2,000. It's hard to believe, right? You know, first gen Talon, it was all-wheel drive, and the thing was literally rust-free. It was such a good car. And $2,000. You know, nowadays, those things are going for like $8K. It's crazy. Ended up selling for $2,000. Kind of wanted to get into a 240, so I was S13. I was an S13 guy. Everybody called me Nissan Sean or S13 Sean. I had two S13s. One was champagne, one was silver. My champagne one was 100% stock. It was a freaking rust bucket turd, let me tell you. That thing was horrid. Now, we're going to jump over to the silver one. Now, the silver one I got was a shell. It was a field car. It was rust-free. The thing had a perfect dash. It was uncracked. The car was freaking mint. I really was into the sound that inline sixes make. All right, crazy. You know, I'm in the Jay-Z world now, so these sounds are something that I really love. So there's a guy that was selling an RB25 as a full swap. It basically was an R33 Skyline. I don't know if it was stolen or not. Man, that might have been stolen because this thing was freaking jacked up, man. It was like cut into some pieces and everything. But, you know, slide that under the table. It was a long time ago, man. So, anyways, I ended up getting this whole swap. It was literally intercooler all the way to hubs. It was intercooler to hubs, man. I was like the whole thing. Differential axles, hubs, brakes, the whole thing. It was basically the entire driveline and running portions of a car. So it was like engine, trans, intercooler, axles, freaking hubs, wheels. I got the wheels, freaking brakes. I still have some of that stuff. So it was an RB25 trans. Ended up picking this up for $2,000, and I picked up my S13 shell for $300. Crazy. I know. The prices for 240s nowadays are absolutely insane. And some of these prices are going way over the top, like even over Skyline prices, which is fine, you know. Skylines aren't like the craziest thing, you know. This is pulling the engine out of this jacked up car that was basically a BMW. You can kind of see right here on the cowl, it looked like this car was basically welded together. The floor pan and everything, it was right-hand drive. All of the floor pan and everything was an R33 Skyline. So this is where my journey starts. $2,300. I'm into this car, right? Okay, so here we go. We're pulling the engine out. We got the engine out. This thing was freaking, I mean, this was a dream come true. Like, this was 2015. I wasn't 100% certain I was even going to be able to, like, get this done. And you can see here's the whole rear subframe for an R33. Here's my S13. So this thing was, like, freaking crazy clean. Odd story with this, and I will get more into that story later. The car's VIN tag actually said it was originally green, but it has a red engine bay, and the interior is red. But the VIN number is all over the car, and it's stamped, stickered, and everything was originally green, but this is an OEM red, so it's kind of weird. So here I got the whole car pulled apart. It had everything. So here's the red and everything. The car is, it looks like it was spray painted with some freaking horrible colors and everything. I did some white and purple, which, I mean, honestly, this looks pretty good. I got rid of all the color and everything on the intercooler, and we went purple piping, white accents, and a god-awful red bay. Of course, back in the day, whenever I was building this car was probably the best car ever. I loved this car so much. Everybody else loved this car. Everybody wanted to see the car. And so, yeah, we went on. I got a nice forward-facing intake manifold and a CX intercooler core and piping kit and everything. So, I kind of made my way with it. I never really got into a single turbo kit, which I was eventually going to do, but I ended up getting some RPF 1s. We were sanding the car down because it was all silver. We sanded the car down because I was going to do a midnight purple on it. And this is about right with the end. I went from a shark nose, got a pig nose bumper and everything. I love this car so much, and there was only one other time that I found the car posted up, and he only wanted $5,000 for it, and it was RB25 swapped S13. It was hard to believe that this car was still as much as it was. I mean, 2018, I think it was when I found the car up for sale again, and I really, really wanted to get it, but obviously I didn't have the money, which we're going to be getting into that, okay? We're going to start talking about that here in just a moment. So here is the final pictures of this car. I had a red Sparco seat. Thing was horrid. It was awful. Got a nice gauge setup. I mean, even I had way too many gauges. This car had like 110,000 miles on it. It was really nice. It's all leather seats and everything. Everything was there for the car, man. This car was, man, really wish I could get it back and look at it some more, because I got a lot more knowledge on these cars now than I ever did before. You can see my dash. That thing was mint. I mean, this car probably would have sold for like $15K nowadays, which is crazy. Back in 2016, I think it was, I did not actually have a title for this car. So because I didn't have a title, I didn't have insurance, I didn't have a registration or anything like that. Really, really bad decision. The title issue is because the title was lost from a previous owner a long time ago, and I actually had filed for a bonded title, which I ended up getting. And because of this, I was actually on my way down to Levi's grandpa's, and we were setting up a single turbo manifold to get a single turbo ready for the car. And on the way back from there, I passed a state trooper, and the state trooper turned, and I ended up running from him. I don't know. It's such a stupid idea, and I'm here to tell you right now, it's not worth it. Like, it's definitely not worth it. He chased me forever. Obviously, this car has, like, no speed. It was a freaking 411 gear. There's no, like, it's just slow, man. It was like 270 horsepower. Everybody else thought it was fast. It was fast for the time in my town. And I ended up running from him. Ended up just stopping because I just was like, whatever, this is pointless. And I went to jail for that night. And then I got out on bond or whatever. And I actually had to serve a couple weeks in jail, which is kind of poop. It's just not worth it, man. They impounded my car. I got it back the next day, and I had a lot of fines. I'm talking like, I had a lot. There was like $4,000 worth of fines, and I just it was like I either pay those or I lose my license. So I ended up selling the car. I posted up for $5,600, and I got it sold. Like, it was like I was posted up for like $6,500. The guy talked me down to $5,600, ended up selling it. So I took like a massive chunk of the change, and I paid off all my fines and everything, which is the responsible thing to do. And I was able to keep my license because I wanted to continue to work and everything, obviously. And now we move on to the next thing. Now I picked this one up. I picked this car up for $1,500, and this is where the story 100% starts, and this is how we go up from here. Now this is where the trading starts. Now I wasn't 100% sure what was going to happen. Like, this was going to be my daily driver. Okay, I was just driving this. This thing was rear wheel drive converted, and the differential was absolutely jacked up. It was so bad, in fact, that it was breaking axles like every week. I don't know, it was just binding or something, but it was snapping the axles at the joint on the wheel side. It was crazy bad. I mean, I love the car. It sounded nice. Ended up trading that, though. Ended up trading it for this Audi A4. It was just a V6. It was actually pretty reliable. Drove this thing for about a year. Didn't ever drive it in the winter, but it was nice. It just turned over 100,000 miles. Oh, that was the same with the Forester. Forester, it had 105,000 miles. This one just turned over 100,000 miles. This thing was very nice, rust-free. Had some damage. I forgot about that damage, but that was a long time ago. And then Levi also, he had ended up getting some more cars. He gave me his MK3 Supra shell. We were going to do I was going to do something with it, and ended up trading this shell and my Audi for this WRX, which was crazy. This thing had 260,000 miles on it, and it was still cooking. She was moving right along, like she had no issues whatsoever, until like about the second week I had it. I broke the transmission, of course. You know, it exploded. Granado. Ended up getting a new transmission and everything for it. Oh, man, this thing is horrible. Oh my god, I can't remember. It's been so long since I've seen this thing. Was a rust bucket. Wow. But yeah, it was a pretty decent car. I drove it everywhere. But from this car, I ended up trading this car for 3 cars, okay? I ended up trading for a front-wheel drive Talon. Then I traded for a all-wheel drive. It was a GSX. It was automatic. And then I traded for a daily Mercury Cougar, which I drove the Cougar for like 2.5 years. So that thing was pretty decent. But I ended up selling the Talon, and I kept some parts off of it. But I kept the GSX. This car... All right, this thing was where I started to realize, like, we're gonna get some progress done. This thing was blown up bad. Every single bearing in the bottom end was either non-existent or in the pan. Every portion, the crank and the rods and everything were basically free-floating. I ended up building this. I got another block and everything. We did a Wiseco Eagle piston setup. I built this myself. We had the thing all good to go. I didn't have any machine work on it. I just honed on the cylinder walls, just put this thing together, did a balance shaft delete, ARP, all of the stuff. And ended up being a very, very good car. We did a single turbo, Holset HX40. Nice manifold, and some of these parts were Austin's old parts. So like he had a red GSX too. Man, a lot of these things were some of his old stuff. This is basically where it turned in. It was just a big turbo, all automatic GSX. Thing was epic. I mean, there was a massive rust spot right here. The whole car was really bad with rust, really, but it was so well hidden. It was so weird. But I ended up taking this portion fixed. We cut this out, and then you can see it right here. Yeah, it was pretty bad. It was probably one of the worst things I've seen, but we had a nice bumper exit. I got some Evo 10 wheels for it. The car was, I actually liked it a lot. It was probably my, this was when I first started realizing, hey, I could probably, start moving along with this and get some cars I actually want. This is where I got it fixed, so we put a nice plate steel in here. Ended up trading this car for a twin-turbo 300ZX 2+0 T-top, and it had like 140,000 miles on it. Now, this is where we start to talk about how do you have so much money? Now, this car wasn't running, okay? And this is also the same deal with my WRX I traded for these 2 cars. One was blown up, one was wiring hacked, and I had a daily out of it. You have to make sacrifices. You can't just go running in there and expect to get something better for what is not worth as much. What I'm getting at here is I have a fully built GSX. The thing didn't make much power, but it was fully built, 100% built. And I traded it for a non-functioning 300ZX that had issues. Now, I made the sacrifice because I saw, okay, so these 300ZXs, even back then, they were selling for $8,000. Like, some of them were selling for $10K plus. Like, they were still selling for quite a bit. And I was like, okay, so DSMs don't sell for that much. Back then, they were selling for, like, a max, and they were, like, making 900 wheel. They were making, like, $11,000 off of them. So this car was, like, a $4,000 or $5,000 car at the time. Maybe, if I'm lucky. And I was able to trade it up for the 300ZX, where we're going to get into now. Now, it had a bunch of Z1 Motorsports parts on it, and we have a steering wheel, which I hated. The thing was like a 325 millimeter steering wheel. It came with so many extra parts, bro. Like, it was insane. Like, I had so many extra boxes. This car was 100% rust free. Had obviously a nice transmission and everything. It needed some paint work and stuff. It had some Infinity wheels, some Infinity Inkies. Here's my Cougar. You can I kept that car, so I was able to keep that car, and ended up with this car. So I'm still making progress there. Ended up with a daily driver as well as a nice sports car. Thing had like nice exhaust and everything on it. So ended up doing some paint work to it. So we got it all cleaned up nicely, and we did some nice paint for the wheels. This car was very, very nice. I actually got married with this car, and this car was in some of our wedding photos. So it Very, very nice. I actually raced it. This was the first time I got into racing in general, and yeah, I was hooked for a long time after this. It was really, really bad for my mental health because of how much I wanted to be at the track, and I was never giving myself ample time to get the car done. Like, it always had to be done this week. We got to have the car done this week to race. And I'm not talking about this car. I'm talking about the 240, and that's the reason why I stopped racing. Like, I needed to be able to enjoy myself. So this was about where I started getting some of the pictures and stuff. Here we've got... It was pretty quick. I mean, it was still stock, like 320 foot-pounds of torque, 320 wheel. I mean, she knew how to move. She got it. It was about the only video I got of the car. I had a BR rolling anti-lag thing, which is garbage. Don't ever get one of those. Things are horrid. Very, very bad. And here is where we really start the thing. Okay, so ever since okay, hold on. I'm gonna pause this. Okay, ever since I had the RB25 car, I had always looked into Supras and stuff, and this was before I was like a massive Jay-Z fan. Like, I didn't really know. I just knew I wanted the inline 6 sound, and I had always been talked up on the RBs, but then did some research on the Jay-Zs and realized they were just so much better. So I had always wanted to do a Jay-Z S14 after I did the RB S13. Because of that, I was on the search and on the prowl. I ended up finding my car, my white 240. It was a stock 1JZ vvti with an R154, 100% stock car. It's like the whole thing was stock, okay? It had a J30 diff and J30 axles, and that was how I ran the car for like 2.5 years or so. That guy had the car posted for $7,000. That's insane. Nowadays, those things are selling for $20K plus. Any Jay-Z car is selling for absolutely astronomical prices. It just blows my mind that they're selling for that much. I mean, that used to be GTR prices, like R32s and stuff. I found the guy, and he was selling his car. He said that he was wanting a family car, and I was like, okay, well, I'll just offer this anyways. And he said, man, if I didn't have a family, I 100% would. So at that time, I was like searching for family cars that would have been interesting, that was holding about the same value as the 240 was. And I ended up finding this Mazda Speed 3. So obviously front-wheel drive turbo. I had set up a double trade. Now, this is where I'm saying you got to have patience, and there is a lot of risk at play in this. I mean, this is really risky. Like, I could have been stuck with this car, but this is something that you have to you have to accept. Okay, if you're trying to make plays, trying to get something that you really, really want, you're gonna have to end up getting stuff that you don't want, because just because you don't want it doesn't mean somebody else doesn't want it. Now, I made 100% sure that this was going to happen, but I had to set up a double trade. I didn't have this car for even a week. Like, I had it maybe a week. I found this car for trade. I was like, hey, man, you want to trade? I was like, I found it. And I was like, would you be interested in trading for a 300ZX? And he's like, absolutely. And I was like, all right. So then I took pictures of his post. I sent it to the guy with the 240, and I said, hey, man, would you be interested in a Mazda Speed 3? And he said, yeah. Literally, you can see I was taking pictures of this car. While the Z was sitting next to it. You can kind of see this is way before I did anything to it, and so it still had the wheels that are like what's on the Supra. The wheels that were on the Supra came on this car. Man, it's crazy. And here we are. We're starting the single turbo build on my engine. This is where I finally decided to get some stuff done. I loved the Jay-Z so much. Like, I just knew that this was going to be the car that I love to keep. So there it is, the Precision, the 6466 that you guys saw. I went on to make tons of power, tons of video and content on. And, oh yeah, here we go. We got this picture right here, which my wife actually went and made me a canvas for it, so that's pretty cool. This is the final picture I took of the car before I traded it, and now this is something else I want to talk about. Now, this is obviously my journey here to trade up and everything, and this took about 2.5 years, 3 years to finally get to this car. But I had decided I really, really, really wanted to try an Evo. Terrible decision. I don't know why I did it, but I ended up trading straight across for my Evo. I had an Evo 8 back in 2018, so this car was only gone for 2 months, but I did get rid of it. And there's something I want to say, guys. If you love a car, it's not worth getting rid of, because there's a chance you don't get it back. And I was very, very fortunate and lucky to get it back. And yeah, I just want to say it's just not worth it, because odds are you're not going to get that car back. And I was lucky twice, because I got the Supra back after I got rid of it once. Here's the Evo. The thing was fully built. It was a Wiseco Manly setup, so I mean, it wasn't like it was garbage, but it made 400. It just wasn't fast enough for my taste. It was fine, I guess, but it's just like, here's a video clip. It surely wasn't my Evo 9, which, that's a different story. There's a video clip of that. Got another video clip. Freaking thing was slow. That was literally 90. Nice carbon hood, which needed resprayed clear. Wasn't even a real ETS core, it was just a stock core. Somebody sprayed ETS on there. Nice RPF ones with spacers on the front because they're improper size for the car. And I launched it for the first time. Jeez, so slow. Traded straight across for this RB26 car. Thing was freaking so clean. The cage work was garbage, the welds were poop, but it was RB26 swapped with an RB25 trans, and it was on, I believe it was a Power FC, so I had got rid of that, and we ended up putting a standalone in there, ECU Master. Power FC is a standalone, but it had ECU Master in there, which of course I had in the 240. This car was so clean. So clean. This is where I finally decided to get I got my idea for my fuel system in the 240 from this, and yeah, this was solid. So I ended up putting my fuel system on the opposite side of the trunk. Yeah, this thing was so nice. I had 3-piece work wheels, which I was stupid and traded. I just wanted the car to be, I wanted it to feel more like me, and it was very clean. It was resprayed super white. There's some black wheels that I got for it. I didn't have the car for very long after this. And yeah, it was about this point. I got it to single turbo because it was twin turbo originally, but I had converted it. I loved the car. It was cool, but it just wasn't me, and I missed the 240 a lot. It was the JZ car. The guy that I traded the JZ car to for the Evo, these are the final pictures of the car. This was the day I traded it to the other guy. That guy still had my JZ car. He had posted it for sale, again, for $7,000, guys. Can you believe it? The car originally was posted for $7K, and then it was posted again for $7K with my drag wheels and everything on it. So, last pictures of the car, and this is when I got my 240 back. And he gave me $4,000 cash on top of my 240 for the RB26 240, which I don't know why he was that dumb. I was going to do a straight across for free, but it was whatever. I was like, dude, you can give me some money on top. I don't really care. He tried to jip me out on that Evo anyways. So anyways, here we go. We're back. We're back inside the 240. And this is the day I got it back. You know, I was so freaking excited. I was so happy. And that's where we stand now. It's 2018. I let it go for 2 months, and it's back, and it's never leaving again. That car is my favorite car ever. Like, I've went through so much with that. I mean, it's completely changed now. For those of you guys that are new that are watching, I mean, the car is so different now that we've got a bumper mounted turbo on there, which is massive. It's like a 79 millimeter. Got a custom intercooler kit and everything within my turbo manifolds all custom. Car's set up, full street car and everything, but I mean, it makes a boatload of power. This is my favorite car. My favorite car ever. Yeah, guys, it's going to be a freaking heck of a long video. Probably won't be too much editing in there. It seemed like I was able to get it done in one take. But, yeah, it's just something I wanted to get across to you guys. I wanted everybody to kind of see that I'm not, like, made of a lot of money. I mean, granted, I do make plenty of money, but I mean, I have a lot of nice things to show for it because I spend all my money, which is pretty much what a lot of car people do that I know of. So yeah, guys, that's my story, my journey from where I started with the 240, and that's how I have so much money. Obviously, this is probably not the reason people are asking me that. The Supra is probably the reason, but I'll make a second video and I'll talk about the Supra. You guys just let me know what you guys think about this one. The Supra will definitely be a more interesting one because that one is a little bit more crazy because there's just like so many good deals and stuff that will fall into your lap that you just don't expect, and just things just like the stars align. It's just kind of crazy. But yeah, guys, it's gonna be like a 20-minute video or something. Anyways, if you guys made it all the way to this point, I appreciate you, and I appreciate your view, everything. If you guys are brand new here, make sure you stop and hit the subscribe button. I do a lot of live action stuff, especially out in the garage with all my cars. I got a new Mustang project, which is going to be epic. The Mustang is going to be crazy. That's going to be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Been wanting to do this for a while, but yeah, that's going to be it for this video, and I'll catch you guys later.